Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks for stopping by Vermont Scale Customs. So that first scene was a taco on portals. I kind of interspersed some bits and pieces of that throughout the video. The first part of this is like about 3 or 4 minutes of this on straights with a couple of clips in between, and then it shows switching over to this thing on portals, which it was set up that way a couple weeks ago, but it's now currently set up this way, and I think it's going to stay this way for a while. I had it on portals for a bit just to see, number one, how it would look, and I really did like the look, but performance-wise, it was just less than stellar. So, being a diecast, you know, with a really short wheelbase on it and all the above, you know, I kind of figured that it was best to not have the thing sitting up another half an inch higher. So, although it did look good, I cannot disagree there, but it just didn't seem to have the capability. And here's a good example. I think I've done this on straights before. You'd have to look back at an older video, but it just wasn't going to make this. It's too tall. So back to straights here. Anyway, yeah, I also put KR3s on this, some BFGoodrich KR3s from RC four-wheel drive, along with, I think I still had the stamped steel beadlocks, but I didn't deep dish them. I had just put rock crushers on and was running it that way without foams. And I decided to switch over to these, and they do have foams. And as well, I switched to my set of Treal axles with enormous chunky diff covers on there, along with the skid. And kind of change this thing around a little bit to try and add a little more weight down low. That is running a Nano beast inside on, I believe, a Furitek Lizard Pro, along with Bluetooth. Just simply 2S on this, nothing crazy. And what else? That is an Emax servo up there, included with a plastic servo horn. So really went all out on the front end of this thing. Maybe eventually I'll put a nice, you know, super expensive servo in it. But for now, for the way that I drive this thing and what it seems to be doing, it works pretty well. So it does get hung up here, but I'll see that I back up in a second and just kind of excited about it. But it's a fun truck. I have a lot of fun with this thing. It was kind of a question of whether or not I'd actually be able to build it, and it worked out. I posted a bunch of videos over the winter time this last winter of, you know, kind of how I got this thing all put up, and been some really popular videos. Thank you very much to all the people that have subscribed and asked questions about how I did this, and also too over at the Facebook groups, you know, all the SCX24 guys that have seen this and hit that like and so on and so forth, drop a comment and whatever. Much appreciated. So if any of you are watching this video, thanks for being here, and thanks for all the love on this thing too. And yeah, and those of you guys have actually put one of these together, congrats on getting it done. It's definitely it's tricky, you know, but then again, you know, if you're committed to wanting to do some custom build stuff with SCX24, the world is kind of your oyster, just as long as you either have a ton of spare parts or know what it is that you're looking for, how to get bodies mounted. Diecast is certainly a little different than, you know, mounting up a hard body or Lexan, that's for sure. It takes a little bit more than just Velcro. You can do it with that, but it's certainly a lot more beneficial in the long run to have a more solid means. Now, okay, so this is on portals, and I got to admit, the truck looks awesome, but it's just got a couple things about it. One of them, if you notice, it doesn't currently have the makeshift tent, the rooftop tent. That got deleted in a rollover pretty much as soon as I took the truck out. But as you can see here, with the portals, it has an interesting thing where it doesn't unload, or excuse me, it unloads, and it also gets kind of bound on climbs a little bit easier. It'll lift one or the other wheel a lot easier, and it just rolls right over. Here's the example. So no matter how straight I try and come in at this, I've noticed that it always tends to have one wheel floated. It doesn't like to let loose on the front end. And kind of zip over here, kind of trying the same line, and just top heavy. I think with the amount of weight that it has sitting up over the top of the tires, those tires aren't really allowed to kind of work the way that they're supposed to. I will say that this thing probably had better traction and better performance sitting with a really narrow wheelbase and just the rock crushers on it. That truck, the way that it was set up that way, actually had, I was very surprised by how well it performed, believe it or not, and running no foams in there too, just ambient air pressure, just kind of sealed up inside the beadlocks. This, now these do have foams, and that's because I think added extra weight around in a couple spots on those silver axles, and so it's kind of been necessary to kind of put some foams in there to keep some structure on some of the stuff. So these axles aren't nearly as heavy as what the silver Treal ones are, so big performance differences. So climbing, I noticed this really just ran into problems. It didn't want to track well. Well, this is also overdriven too, so if you see about a quarter to a half turn on the front axle before the rear axle moves, that is because this does have an overdrive transmission in it. I did kind of stack this thing up because I knew it would need a few things in order to kind of keep up with any kind of expectation on performance. So, you know, brushless, a couple of the things in there, like I said, and it makes it a fun rig. I love this thing. So it's not a crazy performer. This was just because I own a 1.1, a 2018, and I kind of wanted something that, I don't know, represented what I got sitting in the driveway, but just kind of fantasy world stuff. So what else can I ramble on about this thing? These little climbs through here, these little runs, you know, it's obvious that it does some stuff really well. It looks really good while doing some things, and there's some things it just simply can't do. I'll get more video of this as time goes on. I'm just kind of busy doing other stuff with like the WT Micro, and I've had another build that's in the works too, so every once in a while I'll grab this thing and run outside for a hot minute and see what I can do. I just need to spend some more time with it. I haven't spent much time on the indoor course with this because I really kind of think the indoor course isn't geared for this truck. There's a lot of climbing and there's a lot of steep stuff. And this thing is a little bit more of like a trail, a kind of wide open spaces kind of vehicle, not necessarily geared towards some of the climbs that are in the basement indoor course. So, but again, here another prime example of how it gets totally loaded up and will not let loose of one of the wheels. And I think that's just it's a problem on the portals. It's the way the weight is pushed off of this thing. And so once I started seeing stuff like this, you know, it was having problems. It was unloading on the left front and not gaining any traction because there's just too much sitting up too high. It's not down low enough. And coming up here, this is pretty much, I think, this whole sequence right here is kind of what made me decide that I needed to... Oh, it's the next one. I'm sorry. Because it walked right up that one. So I thought I'd try it again here in a second. So you might see it again in a minute. But it's funny. It seems like it's doing okay in this sequence, but if you watch the next, stick around for the next one, and sure, it looks great. Looks awesome. Looks the part. But as you can see, it definitely gets a little top heavy on the side of this. And all points for using the stick as the way to get over that. Okay, so here's why. This is why I decided I was all done with this thing on portals. It won't track a line. It's got too much weight up top. It can't seem to focus. It unloads way too easily. Just those wheelies. And so I think it was at this point that I decided that I was going to call it, head inside. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. And take it easy out there. Get out and run some trucks.